optimize your Instagram bio and make sure you download your workbook because that is what we are going to be walking through today. Okay, so at the top of your workbook, I have these pre-work questions. You should be able to really blaze through this because you already did a lot of this work in our last module. But you want to think about what keywords do people typically search for in your niche. So, for example, if you're a wedding florist is a key word, right? You wouldn't, maybe a floral designer is something that you would describe yourself as, but your ideal client would describe you as a wedding florist. So you want to think about search engine optimized terms. What are people typing into Google or ChatGPT to look for when they are really needing your product or service? Who do you help? Be specific, right? We really got into that in the last module. You should be more clear on who your content is for, who it's not for, and the more specific you can be, the better. And what do you want to post about, or what do you post about on Instagram? Be specific. And it's not that you have to only ever post about one type of thing. So, for example, I'm an Instagram marketing strategist and business growth mentor. Sometimes I still will post a dance video of me because I have a personal brand, and sometimes I just want to spice up my content and have a little fun and highlight that even though I'm over 40, I can still carve out time for myself. I can still dance like I used to in my 20s. And I always kind of tie it back into my niche though of I dance and I create the life that I want. And that's why I love the business I have so much. So do you see how I did that? I kind of share something personal, but I weave it back into the business. So, but most of what I post about is Instagram marketing, right? If I was posting about so many different things, you would be really confused about if my account is for you and you probably wouldn't follow me, right? So you need to be really specific about who your account is for. And the fourth little box here is what experience do you have in your field? And this is where it can be really simple. Like for me, CEO at wedding dance coach, right? Or for you, you could say 200 5-star reviews on Etsy, or just, it could be years of experience. It could be homes sold, whatever you want to fill in the blank here. Just a couple short accolades. You don't necessarily have to use those when it comes to editing your bio, but just we're going to get to that in a minute. And then what is your CTA? Like, what do you want people to do once let's imagine that you are creating the most compelling content. I found your reel. Oh my gosh, I love it. I click your account name. I head on over to your account. Everything is positioned for me. I'm loving your stuff. Now, what is my next step into your world? Typically, freebies are really great. So whether that is a free sales consult or that is a lead magnet, let's say you are trying to grow your list. And so you create a really helpful guide for your ideal client to solve a very specific pain point. There's lots of different things here. So this is the part that has to be very customized to you, your business, your goals. And if you're unclear on this part, bring that into our coaching call so I can really walk you through that. But what is your CTA for your followers? So if you had that link in your bio, which hopefully you do, another way to think about it is where is that link going to take me, right? And you want to think about how am I going to capture that person's name, email, phone number, so that way, God forbid, Instagram goes down, you are still able to access your people, right? We always want to be thinking about that. You never want to fully build your business on borrowed land, right? Instagram is borrowed land. We don't know how long we'll have it for. It could be taken away from us. We don't own it. And so your most qualified hot leads, we want to get them into a sphere that you own, that you have control over. And so for most of you, that's going to be an email list or a text list, or a sales call, or maybe it's a coupon code to your product. So they're going to purchase that product and join your list that way. So lots of different ways to go about it. But what is your CTA? So once you've answered these 5 questions, you are going to be perfectly positioned to refresh your bio. Are you ready? Now, before you make any changes, don't forget to take a screenshot of your current bio because it's very fun to go back and look at it again in 6 months, 12 months. Create a little folder on your phone that says Hot Reels before and after. But definitely take a screenshot of it so you can kind of see where it was before you edited it. Okay, let's get into step by step how to refresh your bio. So number one, look at your bio picture. Now this circle is very small, right? Sometimes what I see here, the mistake I see is that people's pictures they're too far away, right? So remember, you want to think like a headshot, like zooming in on it. Or if you are more of a product-based business, maybe it is your logo. I always used to say, don't put your logo here. People buy people, not products or services. But there's always exceptions to every rule. So if you're not sure what needs to go here, this is another question you can bring into our coaching calls. But for personal brands, of course, I recommend an up-close headshot, trying to make sure the photo is very bright. The background is some sort of a brand color of yours, so it kind of pops off the page. So that way, when I'm looking at Instagram stories, I see, oh my gosh, there is Kelly's face and that bright yellow background, there's Kelly, and it's just instantly recognizable. So everything is branding here, right? So if it is a logo, make sure it is optimized for this tiny little spot on the screen. And I did include this free profile pic tool that you can use to edit your profile pictures. Or better yet, just use ChatGPT. When I did this picture, ChatGPT, I don't even think it existed. So you can use ChatGPT to remove background, add background. You can give it the hex code of your brand color. It's pretty magical. So don't be shy with using AI to make this easier, not harder for you. So update your profile photo, give it a nice little facelift there. Number two, your username, aka your handle, and your name field here should include keywords if at all possible. So your handle, where you see mine says Elizabeth Marberry and where it says Elizabeth Marberry, Instagram coach for small business owners, there should definitely be some keywords in there. And so, for example, in my brick and mortar studio, our handle is the name of our business, Wedding Dance Coach. And that works really well because wedding dance is a keyword that our people are searching, right? Our name field says private wedding dance lessons. Again, nothing fancy here. This is where you don't want to get really creative. You just want to be clear. Okay. You want to be really, really clear. So you could put your first name and then that little line and then a descriptor of what you do and who it's for. So you can see in this example, I'm saying I'm an Instagram coach and then it's for small business owners. So just keep it simple and easy to understand. If you are a local brick and mortar studio, you may also want to consider putting in your location here, like Denver Wedding Dance Lessons, for example. Now, one thing to note here is that Instagram limits how often you can update your username. So make sure, triple check that everything is spelled correctly before you save it. And if you have any questions, definitely have me take a look at it. Ask some questions to make sure that you are picking the right name and all of that before you save it. Okay, so we've done our handle, our username. Next is the first line of your Instagram bio. Now, this one is where so many of us go wrong, where we tend to have the first line just be all about us and our accolades, which I understand why people do that. Is this part is called the bio. So you think, okay, it's about me. But what you want to think about is this is like the first impression of your account. In this line, I should know, is this account for me or not? And I'm going to give you some examples. So capturing diverse love stories with care, calm, and cinematic style. So maybe that was a videographer describing their style or what they do. Or helping women 40 plus simplify macros and movement. Or maybe artfully mismatched jewelry handcrafted in Switzerland. So these are examples where it tells you who the account is for. And let's say that Your statement here says helping women 40 plus simplify macros and movement. If that's your promise, when I look at your feed, I want to see a lot of content. Like 80% of your content should be doing that. You should be teaching me exactly how I can simplify macros and movement being over 40, right? There should be a lot of over 40 content, what it's like to be over 40, what are the struggles of being over 40 when it comes to food and movement and all those things, right? So this is why optimizing an Instagram bio is such a powerful way to simplify your content strategy actually is when you dial in your bio, all of a sudden content creation becomes easier because you're like, okay, I just need to create a piece of content that delivers on the promise of this statement, right? So mine here says, which by the way, I've edited it since sharing the screenshot. Mine is a little bit shorter now, but in this example, grow your following, get more clients, increase brand visibility on Instagram. So when you go look at my content, there's going to be tips about how to create content to grow your following, how to connect your content into your Instagram marketing and sales funnel, right? How to get seen so you can get paid on Instagram, right? That's a lot of what I talk about. Do I talk about some other things sometimes like entrepreneurship or being a female in business or being a mother of two and a CEO or being a former dancer turned dance studio owner? I do, but most of my content is focused around Instagram marketing because I want to become known in that space. So what do you want to become known for, right? Remember that last training, we really dove deep into that. All right. So after that first line of your bio, the next line down, the second line is where you have an option to add some experience or credibility. So for me, I say CEO at Wedding Dance Coach and Strut It Pod. So I have a podcast. I want people to know that. I wanted to include it here in the bio. Obviously, I had to shorten it because we don't have a ton of space here. Here's some other examples: 15K 5-star reviews, top Denver realtor, 10 plus years. You do not have to do this. So in my brick and mortar business, I don't even have this line there. But I do want to highlight that this is a place where, if let's say you're in the wedding business and you say, as seen in Over the Moon, right? Or as seen in Vogue, or if you have some sort of credibility that you want to make sure everybody knows, like the number one kombucha in blank region, right? Or whatever it is, this is the place to put it. Okay. Last but not least, the call to action. What do you want people to do, right? This is your customer journey. Now, here's what's really cool about your bio. This part of your bio, so not your username and your name field, those you can only change every 15 days, right? But this part, these 3 lines of your bio, you can change as often as you want. So you can absolutely edit your call to action depending on your launch or what you're focusing on. But again, some ideas of a call to action would be a freebie to grow your email list. Maybe you apply for a free consult with you or a link to your online store, or maybe listen to your podcast. So again, think about, okay, this is a warm to hot lead. What is the next step that I want them to take with me? And remember, whatever that call to action is, you want to make sure that it is pointing to that link that is going to take them to that place. So if you tell me, grab my free guide, and then I click the link and then there's like 20 different links there and I don't see your free guide, that is not going to be effective. So not that you can't have a link tree type of look, but what I recommend is the thing that you are primarily promoting, that is the first thing I see right when I click that link. Okay. So remember, when it comes to sales and marketing, we want to reduce friction to the sale. We want to make it as easy for people as possible. So don't make me go hunting for links. I'm not going to do it. You will lose me, right? So call to action, make sure your link is going straight to where you said it was going to go. All right, now let's talk about highlights. So these are the highlights here. And honestly, most people will never watch your highlights. So don't stress too much about that. What I do want you to clean up though is these covers, because I want you to think about this, that this is like a storefront of your brand or your business. So you want to make sure that your highlight covers are your brand colors, that they're very clean. And I like to label them so it's really clear, again, what I do and who my account is for. So in my brick and mortar dance studio, we do first dance lessons, we do parent-child lessons, right? We do father-son dances, mother-son, all of that. So I have it broken up: first dances, parent-child, our studio, our team, like very, very simple. So think about the different buckets of your business or the content you're going to be posting about. When you come to my page, you can really quickly understand Elizabeth is a coach. She has a podcast. She's a speaker. Oh my gosh, she has a free guide. Great. Moving on, right? It should be very, very quick. So a lot of us just need to do a little refresh on those highlight covers. Now, last but not least is your pinned post. So I do recommend that you have all 3 pinned posts here. And if you're wondering, oh my gosh, I never even knew I could pin a post, what you do is you click on those 3 dots in the corner, and then a menu will come up on your reel or your carousel or whatever it is, and you can say pin to profile grid. You can also do this FYI on the Reels feed. Okay, so if you just go over to, so right, this screenshot is my grid view, but if you go over to the Reels tab, you can also pin 3 reels over there. What I'm talking about here, though, is your main grid, okay? Your main grid. So 3 pin posts, they don't have to be reels. They could be a carousel as well, but one of your pin posts needs to be your founder story or your why or meet our team, essentially why you started your business, why your team loves what they do, or what it's like to work with you, right? So founder story is one. So I did that here in the center. Who am I? Start here. Pin post number 2 is your funnel entry point. So again, you are all in this program because you're not just here to become an influencer, right? And just have a lifestyle brand where you're just posting about everything. You're here because you have a business, right? You have a business, you're an entrepreneur, you have a product or service or some sort of offer that you want to get out in front of more people, right? So again, you want to think about that customer journey. So you can see that this video is pinned because in the video, I essentially say, do you want to learn how to monetize your Instagram? Comment this keyword below and I'll send you my free guide to do that, right? So that is my funnel. If you join my email list, then I can start to nurture and deepen that relationship with you and then eventually invite you into my programs, right? So you want to think about what is your sales funnel for your business? Maybe if you're a brick and mortar, you're sharing about where you're located, the top 3 offerings and why people would want to grab those, and to comment a keyword to get your promo for new students or something like that, right? So you just want to think about that sales funnel. And then finally, the 3rd pin post is the most fun. And essentially what it is anything goes. So think about, find one of your posts that has performed really well for you, and it feels like a good representation of your brand, of the kind of content you're going to create. So I pinned this one on the right where I say, when your last reel got 2 likes and 47 views, yet you keep showing up. I intentionally use that one because it shows my sense of humor. It also highlights a pain point of my ideal client, and it performed really well for me. So again, you don't have to overthink this, but it's this idea of like when people come to your bio, they decide within 5 seconds if they're going to follow you or not. So all of these different pieces make a huge difference. I hope you found this training helpful, and I'll see you in the next module. So I'm excited for you. I want you to go and edit your bio. And don't forget, if you have any questions, bring them to our coaching calls, and I can't wait to support you there.